I spent almost a decade in the power industry, and it was like a man's world, where the only emotion you were allowed to share was anger, and anything else you just had to stuff it. And really high stress job. So
Yeah.
you're getting calls in the middle of the night to show up to a car accident or a pole fire, and you're kind of in charge of a lot, and there's a lot of stress in the work itself. But then there's also a lot of stress in the interpersonal dynamics that go on, right? And so I started at age 21, I believe, and so really quite young. And so I had all these men around me that were kind of the models for what a man is.
Yeah.
And so I was observing and taking it in as an apprentice. And um, it was all about, being tough externally. You don't talk about what's going inside. Uh, if problems arise, you push through. And and so I did. I just followed kind of the rubric, and it worked for a bit, and until it really stopped working. And life catches up with you, and you
It does have a
can't.
way of doing that.
Yes, sir. It's so common, and so it's understandable, right? Like we don't want to be perceived as weak,
Yeah.
and in our North American society, we equate emotional vulnerability with weakness.
Yeah.
And so we put on that mask, that front, and yeah, you can muscle it out for a bit, when you're younger. But then, as I got married, and natural stressors with that. Then I had a kid at age 27, and that was a crisis in itself. In that everything on the inside just it came out right.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing experience, but it was actually one of the hardest. You get everything mirrored back to you in this little beautiful life, and what was getting mirrored back to me I really didn't like, but I didn't know how to cope with that.
Yeah.
The coping mechanisms I had before, of kind of just shoving it to the side, distracting, cracking a couple beers after work, I just couldn't do that anymore. And something had to give. And yeah, so in all this, my marriage was taking a toll. My wife was needing a lot more than what I was providing, and there was such a huge disconnect, because I'm like, we have the house, we have the job, we have the kid now, we even have a golden retriever to make the pictures look perfect. But behind all that was just two really, really disconnected people,
Yeah.
and just a deep, honest, like, not knowing what to do about it. So yeah, that eventually led to this point in our life where if we continued on the path that we were going, like, we could see the future, and it wasn't good. I was getting more angry. The emotion that I was suppressing, it was coming out, and it was ugly for a bit there. And so we basically hunkered down, and we're like, what are we going to do about this? And we, through a lot of prayer, came to the point of just walking away from it all. So, kind of achieved kind of where I'd wanted in my career, and I just had to give it all up. We sold the house, and we didn't really have a plan after that. And I remember actually Nate saying to God, I was like, you know what? I don't really trust that you got me. If
Yeah.
I'm being honest, I don't trust it. But I got to make this step, because if I don't, I'm just going to lose everything.